Hi there, this is Dr. Embody. Welcome to CSE 231 Introduction to Programming. Uh, so, why are we here? Well, computers are pervasive through society. In fact, if you look at a video that's right next to the link for this one, it shows a video about an exoskeleton that allows a woman who had been in a wheelchair to walk for the first time. Since she had an accident. And that's a combination of computing and a whole variety of other engineering disciplines. And what are they doing? Well, they're really solving a problem. And that's what this course is about. This course, and in fact, the field of computer science is about solving problems. And here we're going to learn to solve problems using a computer. We learn a programming language, Python, but it's really about problem solving, and that's one of the challenges. Some recent research we did showed that your problem solving skills will improve over the course, from when you start this course until the end of this course. So that's why we're here. We're here to learn problem solving using a computer. Who are we? Well, Dr. Punch and I, a number of years ago, created this course in Python and wrote a text to go along with it. We also created some videos. And we came up with a goal for this course, which was if you're presented with a problem and it's appropriate, you'll say, oh, hey, I could use a computer to solve this. And we get feedback from students who've taken this course that they'll actually use this in their coursework and in their careers, even if they aren't computer science majors. A couple of interesting things about this course. Roughly 2/3 of the students, sometimes even more, are not computer science, computer engineering majors. When I've done surveys, I find that about 3/4 of the students have never programmed before. The quarter that have will make you feel like it's a lot bigger, but the reality is that's the general makeup of this course. And it's also interesting that when I've looked at the data, the majority of people who get 4 points have not programmed before. And that's one of the assumptions of this course, is that programming is not required. This is the first course in programming. If you haven't done it, I've sent it. There's a link to Hour of Code. That's a nice little exercise to do, give you a sense of programming and many of the concepts of programming even before you start. So this is about problem solving using a computer. This is a flipped class in the sense that there is no lecture. We have created a set of videos that supplement the text. So the model is you read the text, you watch some videos that talk about how you use Python, you'll do online exercises, my programming lab, and then weekly programming projects. And then of course we have some exams in there too. So the points that go into the make up the bulk of the grades comes from the online assignments, my programming lab, the weekly programming assignments, and then 2 midterms and a final. One unusual way that we handle things is the way we handle the required labs. They are required. We allow some flexibility, and there is other flexibility in the course. Check the syllabus for that. In that, you can miss a couple of labs, but if you miss 3, then what we do is we start deducting from your final grade, like 0.5. So, for example, if you were going to get a 3.5 and you got zeros on 3 of the labs, then we'll deduct your final grade by 0.5, so you have a 3 point. You miss another lab, now you're down to a 2.5, and so on. So the labs aren't points that count to the final grade, but if you don't do the labs, then we deduct from your final grade. It's kind of unusual ways of doing that, so pay attention. Another thing I find is sometimes confusing to students is that the labs are collaborative. In fact, we pair you up for those people who have assigned labs. The online students do the same labs, but don't physically have to be there. That's the section 730. Everybody else has got a lab that you show up at with the teaching assistant to help you out. So those have to be done weekly. There is a pre-lab for those, and the pre-lab is also required. So you can't get credit on the lab unless you've done the pre-lab. So make sure you handle that. With the programming projects, I encourage you to get started on those early, because this is problem solving. We know that problem solving is best done not in a single session. So I mentioned collaboration. Okay, so the labs are we pair you up, so it's obviously collaborative, and the online students, section 730, work with others on those. My programming lab, the online exercises, also collaborative, but very important. Programming projects and exams, of course, are not collaborative. They are so the programming projects are to be done individually. You can discuss an algorithm at the highest level, but as soon as you start talking Python, we expect that to be on your own. If you collaborate or represent your work as or somebody else's work as your own, then you'll get a 0, and possibly even a 0 for the course. So we're quite strict about that. Every code gets compared to every other code through an algorithm, and it's pretty sophisticated. So do yourself a favor and pay attention to that. We write those rules down, and there is a code of conduct for Michigan State students. Effectively says representing someone else's work as your own, will get you 0, as well as a note to the dean. All right, so let's take a look at the components of the course. So here is the web page for the course, and even though we have a D2L presence and there's Piazza for help online, really this course is focused around this web page. So get familiar with this web page. There are, if you look at this page and we look down the left side, there are a number of links here, such as syllabus, which we'll take a look at. The online content, that's where the videos are. We have weekly computer projects, the due dates. That's a big one. That has all the when everything is due, and you want to become good friends with that page. We have the weekly laboratory exercises there. There's the hand-in system. That's how you'll hand in things electronically. We do have Piazza for discussions, help each other out. We have TAs that monitor that. We have a pretty amazing response time there, but they have, this is not something that is being monitored minute by minute. You post a question on there, somebody will get an answer to it, but it might not be in a minute, it might be in an hour, something like that. There is a coding standard, we'll talk about that more later. There are consulting hours or help room, there'll be a schedule on there. And then if you wonder when particular labs meet and where they meet, that's on there. There is a website for the textbook. By the way, the textbook is the one in the 3rd edition. Have a link on there. This is actually a chapter out of the textbook. or at the end of every chapter is a little thing about what's wrong with my code, worthwhile taking a look at, because these are the things that we found that have tripped things up. Trip students up. Something's not going right with your code. Check out this section of the of each chapter, and there's also a chapter at the end of the text that pulls all those together, and I also put it here just hopefully to make it a little easier for you. Old exams. Oh yeah, when it comes time for exams, hey, we've put a lot of old ones up there, so you have plenty to look at to get set with that. One of the things that we're going to ask you to do in the first week is to download the Python, and make sure you get a version 3. It's less important the second number, so if there's a version 3.6 that comes out or something, that's fine to use, and 3.4 is probably okay for most of the stuff that we do here. We do use the Anaconda version of Python. There's a number of reasons that I won't go into here, but if anybody's curious about it, send me an email and I'd be more than happy to talk about it. So let's take a look at some pieces here. An important one, of course, is the syllabus, and let's see what that looks like. All right. So, a number of these things I've already pointed to. There's a description of it, what the objectives are. A couple of highlights. There's 1,000 points in this course from the programming projects, the My Programming Lab, which we also refer to as MPL, 2 midterms and a final. Labs are required. We deduct it if you miss more than 2. And as I mentioned, if you collaborate on projects, you'll get a 0. And in fact, I even make a note that simply showing your code to another student, because they're novices, they won't be able to think of another way to do it. They'll do it the same way, or show it to somebody else who does it the same way. And there will be 2 pieces of code that are exactly the same, or essentially the same, and you'll both get 0s, and everybody's unhappy about that. We have 2 instructors. There's myself, Dr. Embuddy, and some contact there, and instructions. Because there's 500 students, nobody can make whatever office hours I set up, so schedule them. Then there's an algorithm for doing that. We also have another instructor, Ali Raza, who has been a TA for this course for many times, and is now graduated to be an instructor. And so on. So we're very excited to have him on board. This is the course website. I encourage you to become very good friends with this page. There's the URL for it. There's discussions on Piazza. That we are using the 3rd edition. We are going to be requiring My Programming Lab. And there is some information here on flexibility, so that once you can have a programming project late, and so on. That's all covered there. How the course grades are made up, a combination of examinations, projects, and exercises. There's 2 midterms and a final exam. The times are there, but at this point, I can't get rooms until later in the semester for this sort of common thing. My Programming Lab, it is required. There is an extra cost for it. If you buy the book that has it in it, then you've already paid for it. So it's a 2-step process. You access My Programming Lab, and there's a cost, and then you access the course. This code here is part of step 2, and that's very confusing. And also, there's a scratch off thing on the inside of the cover that doesn't get you into step 1. So that confuses people. You don't if you buy a secondhand book or buy a book that doesn't include My Programming Lab, it's very easy to get it. They're more than happy to take your money. But that's the more expensive way to get My Programming Lab. So if you're buying a book, make sure you get the one that, if you're buying a new book, make sure you get one that includes the access to My Programming Lab, because that's by far the cheapest way to do it. But it is available. If you get a secondhand book or whatever, you just go there. They're more than pull out the credit card. They're more than happy to take your money. But be careful of that. Okay, so there are computer projects. There's a note there about academic integrity, and read it. That's I really can't say much more about that. And remember, there is a code of honor for there's a Spartan code of honor. And of course, we have to be responsible with respect to religious observances and things like that. Those are things that about ahead of time, and we can make arrangements, but only if you come to us ahead of time, right? I mean, we know when Christmas is this year, and whatever particular holiday you have. I guess we're past Ramadan now, but these things are not things that pop up. Oh, gee, this is going to happen to me tomorrow. You know about them ahead of time, and so we will make accommodations, but you have a responsibility to take care of getting that yourself. Let us know about that. Okay, another important link is the second one, which is the online content, and this is where all the links to the videos are. So we have there's the welcome video, which is the one you're watching right now. There's the exoskeleton video that I mentioned earlier. If you haven't done the Hour of Code, I recommend that you do that. And then we have all the weekly things, and every time you go to one of these, there will be organized in a way that there are some the basic thing is there's a video, and then there's some things to do with that video. There's some My Programming Lab assignments. No, you don't have. There's about 1,000 My Programming Lab exercises. No, you got to do the ones that we do. So that's where the videos are, and the My Programming Lab assignments, and there's links to each one of those right there. Those of you who are in the online section, you want to find out who the section 730, you want to find out who your TAs are. That link will have that. All right, and then there is the due dates page. This is your guide to when things are due. Lab due dates only apply to the online ones. Otherwise, you're doing them with your lab. But notice the setup here. Every week you have you have a reading to do. There's a project due. There's a lab due, and there's a My Programming Lab, and that rinse and repeat. And every once in a while we throw in an exam, and those weeks there isn't a project due. But every week it's got that pattern. You read a chapter, you watch the videos, you have a programming project that's due, you have a lab that you have to do, you have a My Programming Lab exercises to do. And I'll point this out again, sort of the pro tip. Programming projects, first programming project, you could start that on Monday and finish it on Monday by midnight. By the time you start getting into projects 3 and 4, that gets harder. By the time you get to the projects at the end, if you're starting them on the day that they're due, you will not get it done. These are the idea behind them is that they're week-long projects, and guess what? If you take a week-long project and you try to do it on the last day, it's not going to work out. You are going to be very unhappy. You can't do problem solving that way. And so one of the best tips for this course is um, you know, don't, get those programming projects started early. Yeah, the first ones can be done on the day, and then you go, oh, gee, I can do these on one day. Yep, you can do the first couple that way. Each one gets a little bit harder, so watch out for that, and don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, let's see what else we have here. So I'm not going to go through all these links, but I encourage you to go through them. Oops, I guess the video here is making my response time too slow. All right, so if you haven't downloaded Python, Anaconda Python, start doing it. And I guess there's, the one last thing I can make a comment on is about the exams, is that we'll reserve a large room, and I'll, proctor them just like a regular exam. And if you have a conflict, we have to deal with that early. And then there is the option for actually having the exams remotely proctored online. I use a commercial service for that. I need a 10-day warning in order to set that up. That's mentioned in the lab. And there we go. I think that should be more than enough to get you started. Where do you start? You start with the online content, and you start with beginnings. And there, you start with that, and there's some videos about getting Python and get yourself all started up, and away you go. If you don't have the text, I do have a chapters 0 and 1. I put a draft up there. So if you've added late and you're ordering the text online and it hasn't shown up yet, chapter 1 is there. I don't do that for any other chapters, but this will help you get started. That's a draft of the text. It's not the final version, but it's certainly plenty to get you started. All right. Remember, the TAs and instructors are here to help you get through this. Good luck. Hope you enjoy it.